Hello everybody. Welcome to exercise program 10. This time we're going to revise what was new in units 37, 38 and 39. Unser erstes Thema heute ist die Bildung des Passivs. The passive. Look at this painting. As you can see, the picture is damaged. Das Bild, wir sehen es deutlich, ist beschädigt. Der englische Satz ist klar. But what about this little scene?
And sometimes the pictures are damaged. And the police are called and people are arrested.
The pictures are damaged. The police are called. People are arrested. Hier handelt es sich um Vorgänge, nicht um einen fertigen Zustand. Also, die Bilder werden beschädigt, nicht sind beschädigt. Die Polizei wird verständigt, nicht ist verständigt. Leute werden festgenommen, nicht sind schon festgenommen. Was Sie im Deutschen mit werden ausdrücken, dafür haben wir im Englischen nur die Formen von to be, also am, are, is im Präsens. Eigentlich ganz einfach. Would you like to try some sentences now? Sagen Sie, manchmal wird ein Bild gestohlen. Sometimes a picture is stolen. Sagen Sie, neue Bilder werden täglich gemalt. New pictures are painted every day. Wir merken uns also, das deutsche werden drücken wir mit to be aus. In allen Zeiten natürlich.
It's a fantastic place, isn't it? It was designed by a famous architect, Frank Lloyd Wright, about 40 years ago.
It was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. Es wurde entworfen von Frank Lloyd Wright. Was bedeutet hier nicht war, sondern wurde. Stellen Sie sich vor, Sie halten einen Vortrag auf Englisch über berühmte Maler. Sie sagen gerade, "Look at this picture. It was painted by John Constable." Mit by bezeichnen wir den sogenannten Agent, den Urheber der Handlung. Im Deutschen sagen wir von.
Oh, by the way, I'm a painter too. These were painted by me.
Made in Britain. Could you say that in a complete sentence? This car was made in Britain. Now it should be easy for you to translate this into German.
I must go. One of the paintings has been damaged.
One of the paintings has been damaged. Has been heißt natürlich ist gewesen. Da es sich hier aber um eine Aussage im Passiv, in der Leideform handelt, brauchen wir das Perfekt von werden, also ist worden. Eines der Gemälde ist beschädigt worden. Now look at this. The picture was damaged. The picture has been damaged. The picture had been damaged. Wie lauten die deutschen Entsprechungen? Das Bild wurde beschädigt. Das Bild ist beschädigt worden. Das Bild war beschädigt worden. Übersetzen Sie jetzt, das Bild ist gestern beschädigt worden. The picture was damaged yesterday. Nicht has been damaged. Beim Passiv gilt natürlich auch die Abgrenzung des Simple Past vom Present Perfect. Yesterday ist eine bestimmte Zeitangabe, die das Simple Past erfordert. Richten wir jetzt den Blick auf Zukünftiges.
Don't worry, it's going to be restored. Then it will be damaged again.
It will be damaged again. Es wird wieder beschädigt werden. Will be ist zunächst wird sein. Beim Passiv wird werden. Freilich, und das ist schon wieder die Schwierigkeit, sagen Sie im Deutschen nicht immer wird werden, sondern lediglich wird. Wir bleiben bei unserem Beispiel. Es wird wieder beschädigt. Im Englischen brauchen Sie die Zukunftsform. It will be damaged again. Wenn Sie bekannt geben würden, dass das Museum in 2 Minuten geschlossen wird, genau geschlossen werden wird, wie sagen Sie das?
Ladies and gentlemen, the museum will be closed in 2 minutes.
Was ist mit der Gegenwart? Nun, wir sagten schon, quite often a picture is damaged. Daran erkennen wir, dass es sich um eine Passivkonstruktion handelt. Das Bild muss sozusagen eine Beschädigung erleiden. Geschieht dieses Erleiden jedoch in diesem Augenblick, vielleicht von einer Kamera gefilmt, dann sagen wir, the picture is being damaged. Wir schieben ein being zwischen is und das Partizip Perfekt damaged. How about another sentence? Sagen Sie, dass das Bild eben gemalt wird. The picture is being painted. Sagen Sie, dass das Museum eben geöffnet wird. The museum is being opened. Fragen Sie einen Kunden, ob er bereits bedient wird. Are you being served? Noch etwas. Sie müssen nicht immer Wort für Wort übersetzen. Sie hören zum Beispiel eine Platte und fragen, when was the record made? Sie können übersetzen, wann wurde die Platte hergestellt? Oder wann ist die Platte entstanden? Es kommt auf den Sinn an. Lots of people speak English. Setzen Sie diesen Satz ins Passiv. English is spoken by lots of people. The Guggenheim Museum was designed by Wright. Make this sentence active. Wright designed the Guggenheim Museum. Es hängt aber von der Betonung ab, ob der Aktivsatz wirklich die gleiche Aussage bringt wie der Passivsatz. Vielleicht sollten wir sagen, It was Wright who designed the Guggenheim Museum. Wir haben einen Relativsatz gebildet, einen längeren Satz, der aus Haupt- und Nebensatz besteht. Der Wechsel von Haupt- und Nebensatz macht die Sprache gefälliger. Man kann natürlich ausschließlich in Hauptsätzen reden und auch schreiben. Look. I went to New York. I looked at some of the sights. I visited the Empire State Building. Then I went into a museum. I liked the pictures very much. I stayed for 3 hours. In Unit 38 haben Sie gelernt, Nebensätze einzuflechten. Versuchen wir in unseren Text Nebensätze einzubauen. Sagen Sie, als ich in New York war, sah ich mir einige der Sehenswürdigkeiten an. When I was in New York, I looked at some of the sights. Übersetzen Sie, nachdem ich das Empire State Building besichtigt hatte, ging ich in ein Museum. After I had visited the Empire State Building, I went into a museum. Nachdem und nach heißen beide auf Englisch after. And the last sentence? Da mir die Bilder gefielen, blieb ich 3 Stunden. As I liked the pictures, I stayed for 3 hours. Für da gibt es mehrere Wörter. As soll hier den Grund ausdrücken. I'm sure you'd rather look at some more sights in New York than work so hard with me. Would rather und had better war das Thema von Unit 39.
And I'd rather be at your friend's apartment than jogging around Central Park.
Would rather be means would prefer to be. I'd prefer to be at your friend's apartment. Had better ist eine Empfehlung, ein Rat, die Einsicht in eine Notwendigkeit.
We'd better go. It's nearly midday, and you know Bartleby's gets crowded Sundays.
And we'd better do our test now. As usual, there'll be some questions about it later on. I hope the pictures will help you understand the text more easily. First impressions of New York. A sightseeing tour of New York will almost always include the World Trade Center. Its twin towers have replaced the Empire State Building as New York's major tourist attraction. New Yorkers have to admit, however, that the world's tallest skyscraper is now the Sears Tower in Chicago. Among other places of interest that are visited by tourists is the Statue of Liberty. It was made in France and sent to America as a present in 1886. It is no longer just a symbol of the friendship between the two countries, but has come to be regarded as a symbol of freedom for both Native Americans and immigrants. New Yorkers claim their city is the cultural capital of the USA, and there is a lot to be said for this. Everybody knows Broadway, where famous musicals are performed. New York is also famous for its many fine museums, among them the Guggenheim and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Another equally popular cultural attraction of New York is Lincoln Center, with the Metropolitan Opera House and the Avery Fisher Hall, where concerts are given. Now here's the text again. This time you can see it. A sightseeing tour of New York will almost always include the World Trade Center. Its twin towers have replaced the Empire State Building as New York's major tourist attraction. New Yorkers have to admit, however, that the world's tallest skyscraper is now the Sears Tower in Chicago. Among other places of interest that are visited by tourists is the Statue of Liberty. It was made in France and sent to America as a present in 1886. It is no longer just a symbol of the friendship between the two countries, but has come to be regarded as a symbol of freedom for both Native Americans and immigrants. New Yorkers claim their city is the cultural capital of the USA, and there is a lot to be said for this. Everybody knows Broadway, where famous musicals are performed. New York is also famous for its many fine museums, among them the Guggenheim and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Another equally popular cultural attraction of New York is Lincoln Center, with the Metropolitan Opera House and the Avery Fisher Hall, where concerts are given. And now some comprehension questions. You have to decide whether the information is right or wrong. The World Trade Center is one huge tower. Do you agree? Is that right or wrong? It's wrong, because the text says its twin towers have replaced the Empire State Building. The World Trade Center has two huge towers. The three tallest buildings in the world are all in Manhattan. Does that sound right or wrong to you? The information is wrong again. The tallest building in the world is in Chicago. The Empire State Building is New York's second tallest skyscraper. Is the information right or wrong? This time, it's right. The United States bought the Statue of Liberty from France. Is this statement right or wrong? There's clearly something wrong here. The Statue of Liberty was a present from France. It wasn't sold to the United States. Now you give the right answer. Listen carefully. There are streets and avenues in Manhattan. One street mentioned in our text is not called street. What's it called? It's called Broadway. You know that Washington, D.C. is the political capital of the USA. What kind of capital can New York be called? New York can be called the cultural capital of the USA. There are some verbs in the text we should look at now. To include. Let's use it in a new sentence. The tour includes a visit to Central Park. This means a visit to Central Park is part of the tour, costs extra, or is not a part of the tour. Which is the correct answer? It's A. A visit to Central Park is part of the tour. Another verb in the text is to admit. New Yorkers have to admit this fact. This means they say this is not true, are not sure about it, or say it is true. The correct interpretation is C. They say it is true. And by the way, do you know the opposite, das Gegenteil, of to admit? It's to deny. To deny something means to say that something is not true. Perhaps you don't know the verb to claim. I'm sure you can guess its meaning from the context. New Yorkers claim their city as the cultural capital. Does claim mean to believe, glauben, to maintain, behaupten, or to know exactly, genau wissen? You're right if you say be, to maintain, behaupten. A look at the dictionary would show you that to claim has more than just this one meaning. For example, to demand as a right, or to say that something is a fact. He claimed to be the best tennis player in the school. Now, here are a few sentences to help you practice the passive. You should show that you can already act as a guide on a sightseeing tour. Translate into English. Hier ist unsere Kunstgalerie. Here's our art gallery. Sie wird jeden Tag von Hunderten von Touristen besucht. It is visited by hundreds of tourists every day. Hier ist unser neues Museum. Here's our new museum. Es wurde vor 2 Monaten eröffnet. It was opened 2 months ago. Hier ist eine alte Burg. Here's an old castle. Ich hoffe, sie wird nie durch eine neue ersetzt werden. I hope it'll never be replaced by a new one. Hier ist unser Stadttheater. Here's our city theatre. Das Musical The King and I wird zurzeit hier aufgeführt. The musical The King and I is being performed here. Now say this sentence in the passive. It was a German architect who designed Brooklyn Bridge. And your sentence in the passive? Brooklyn Bridge was designed by a German architect. It was George Orwell who wrote 1984. And your sentence in the passive? 1984 was written by George Orwell. They're building a skyscraper. A skyscraper is being built. This is a typical example of a sentence where you wouldn't use the by phrase. Now I want you to make one sentence from two. One should be a subordinate clause, ein Nebensatz. Begin your sentence with a conjunction, mit einem Bindewort. We were tired. We didn't go to the top. We were tired is clearly the reason why we didn't go to the top. So we can say, since we were tired, we didn't go to the top. Since can be replaced by as. As we were tired, we didn't go to the top. We took a taxi from the airport. It was expensive. Which of these conjunctions is the best for our sentence? As, because, since, when, although, after, before. Although. We took a taxi from the airport, although it was expensive. Before we finish, we mustn't forget to do a little translation. A friend of yours has received a postcard from New York. You've been asked by another friend to translate it into German. I've been here for 3 days. It's fantastic, although the weather could be better. I've been up 5 skyscrapers now, and that's enough. I must admit, New York is a much friendlier city than I had expected. I'm beginning to feel at home. You won't believe it, but I've been asked the way in Manhattan twice today. See you in 3 weeks' time. Your translation will probably sound something like this. Ich bin seit 3 Tagen hier. Es ist fantastisch, obwohl das Wetter besser sein könnte. Ich war bereits auf 5 Wolkenkratzern und das muss reichen. Ich muss zugeben, dass New York eine viel freundlichere Stadt ist, als ich erwartete, als ich dachte. Ich fange an, mich einzuleben. mich zu Hause zu fühlen. Du wirst es nicht glauben, aber ich wurde heute in Manhattan schon 2-mal nach dem Weg gefragt. Bis in 3 Wochen. Well, that's all for today. See you again next time for another program of English by television. Do you find it all hard work? I'm sure you know the saying, wer A sagt, muss auch B sagen. In English we say, in for a penny, in for a pound. All the best and goodbye.